Nick in Wisconsin. You're live with Eric and Jamie. How are you doing?
Good. How are you doing, guys?
Doing all right. Thank you for calling in. What do you want to talk about?
Hey, no problem. Well, I kind of talked to Jamie and Shelley last weekend. Just kind of, you invited me to call back and want to kind of finish the conversation we were having.
Mm-hmm. We wanted to take you first because you came in at the end of the last time.
Okay,
so how did
great.
your week go? How'd you reading about stuff and?
My week went great, honestly.
That's good.
And the person I talked about is doing a lot better. So
glad to hear that.
Things are going good. Yeah. So, what I wanted to, talk about is first you asked me if I was interested in learning about skepticism and everything. And I also brought up the point at the end that I said might be a cop-out when I was reading about what St. Augustine said, that he saw that, Genesis 1 and 2, and basically the whole Bible is kind of a logical framework. So don't look at it as a science textbook. Don't take it literally.
Trust me, I don't.
No, don't. Neither do I. Okay.
Yeah. That's good.
I'm just saying, and even though there are, horrible things in there, genocide, everything, the overall story, the overall picture and it has caused harm. But it has also caused a lot of good. For example, after Rome fell, the reason that we have any history of that at all is because of monks. That's the reason. They were literate. They wrote everything down.
Sure, but the existence of literate scholars, I don't think you can exclusively give credit to the story.
I'm not saying
the stories in the Bible.
Proof of God, or I'm not saying that's proof of God or a proof that's true. I'm just saying.
I know that you're not saying that's proof of God. I'm just saying that the recording of history, I don't think you can give the story of the Bible credit for.
Sure. Can I jump in with a question here, Nick?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
So, without even opening the Bible, you're saying that the religion was useful in that some good things have happened because of it? Is that right?
Yes, good has happened, bad has happened, as in anything in life.
Does that state anything about the truth value of the book?
No, it does not, and I'm not trying to prove the truth value of the book right now.
Now, what if I were to be able to point out a whole bunch of atrocities that were also committed? Would that mean that it would also still be good on the whole? If we're looking at non-religious or non-biblical reasons to be good, or times that people were good outside of what's in the Bible, then it seems like the Bible's kind of unnecessary, doesn't it?
Okay. I believe that, first of all, the Bible was written by men, many anonymous men. If you look at, it's just the Torah. It was written by, and they don't even have names for these people. They're like J, Q, or whatever, for different parts. No one knows who wrote the Gospels. But they were written by men, and men of their time. And as I said last week, I'm on the fence. I don't know, and I'm comfortable saying I don't know. And
that's awesome.
That's something about the show, yeah.
Sure.
But
can you be specific about what it is that you are saying you don't know at the moment, right?
I don't know specifically if God actually inspired it, or if it's just. It's been around for a long time.
Sure.
And
various parts of it for different lengths of time. Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of things have been around for a long time. Hinduism has been around for a lot longer than Christianity. Yeah. I'm not saying that, how long something has been around is a reason to believe it.
Sure.
I'm just saying that a lot of people do, and I'm not ready to say that every one of them are wrong. And now, let me preface that by saying that, I'm also not I have nothing but utmost respect for, people who are of the Muslim faith, but, there are a billion of them, and I'm not one of them. And yet I'm willing to say I don't believe in that faith.
Mm-hmm.
Yet I'm in this faith, probably because that's what I was brought up in, probably because that's what I've been all my life. And as I said last week, I fell out of the faith for a while, then I came back, not as completely wholeheartedly as was before, but overall, it's been a good influence in my life. So even though bad things have happened in the past, in my life, it's helped.
Sure.
Okay. So to be clear, you mean when you're talking about it, you're talking about sort of the, I don't want to say the vague things, but the things that we associate with the religion, right? Because I would be willing to say that,
miracles.
To be clear,
like
I've been fed by a lot of potlucks that were organized around church events, but I wouldn't say that Jesus has fed me a meal.
Yeah, I understand that, and I've also read that most of the miracles can be basically attributed to magic tricks, basically, just people, or just people remembering something in a different way, and it's been told by word of mouth.
Yeah, I would say they can be attributed to humans, which sounds very banal and doesn't actually get to the point that I'm making, because you said people remembering them in a different way. I would say actually the description of miracles in the Bible can be attributed to those are events that people remembered.
Or
because that's how
they remembered.
What?
Or have said that they remembered.
Or have said that they remembered. Yeah. Or have said that happened. I mean, there isn't a difference between that. The point is, human memory is always that bad.
Well, and it may not just be human memory. I mean, you can point out
more than that as well.
Yeah, I can pull out a comic book where a author can say, put and place themselves in the story and say, "Oh yeah, I was here and I met Spider-Man." Yeah. That doesn't mean that the author actually believes it as much as they are telling a story. There are tons of different ways.
I was just about to bring that up.
Yeah. There are tons of different ways that you can look at it.
Well, that end, it's worth saying that it's the stories in the Bible come from a storytelling, have filtered through various storytelling cultures, right? Like if you listen to something from a Muslim apologist today, or they will make a point about, the reason that whatever aspect of Islam or the Quran that they're defending, they will tell a story that illustrates that they're not asking you to believe the story is true. They're making a point, right? Aesop's fables have a moral, right? However, the meaning and the way that stories would be interpreted, particularly when at the end they don't say, and so the moral of the story is blah, is entirely cultural, right? There's this wonderful, I think it's research article that Tracy Harris likes to point to, where a person goes and is trying to tell Hamlet, the story of Hamlet to, I think it's called Hamlet in the Bush, but basically they go to a tribe in Africa and they try and share this story to see if the tribe can connect with it, because this person at the beginning of this believed there's certain universal culturally understood things that all humans will understand when they hear about them. But they come away from that experience concluding that that's not the case, because the moment they get to, the ghost of someone's father is telling them something, the traditions of the tribe they were speaking to are, no, that's not a representation of the dead person. Ghosts aren't real. That must be an illusion created by a witch. They should ignore whatever it says and go find the witch. And it's sort of, because then the entire rest of the story is just, he's doing whatever a witch wanted him to do. Yeah. And so for us to try and take, there are these stories from 6,000 years ago, from 3,000, even from 2,000 years ago, from a completely different culture, written in languages we no longer speak, that have been translated and mistranslated and copied and miscopied and filtered through generation after generation after generation. To me, I would say, why not actually literally replace those stories with Aesop's fables and do the same thing? Why not? Or, as I've thought about doing, why not take the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy series, put little chapter and verse numbers through them, and then just have those be the stories that you then base your moral teachings off of. Like, this is just the language of moral teaching. And to me, I would say there's nothing divine about that. It is entirely human. And given the combination of, well, the text of this particular book only has significance because our culture gives it significance, and we don't really have a good reason to believe that there's a God, why not use stories if they're helpful, not use them if they're not, and recognize that there isn't a good reason to believe that a God exists?
Honestly, I'd like to build on Jamie's analogy there just a little bit.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Right? Nick, what I would say is if we would have taken one of those books and added chapter and verse, then I would say that if you're doing the math on what is more or less useful or has been helpful, you're forgetting the entire other side of the equation, which is you have systems of bigotry and hatred. You have personal justification of violence that are also attributed to the Bible, right? And if we were to stack those up against each other, I would take Aesop's Fables or Hitchhiker's Guide any day of the week. It's funny, you look back, especially, for someone like me who has left religion, and it's like leaving a bad relationship. You eventually start to forget all of the really heinous things that happened. And you start to remember, oh, no, this was good and that was good, but you start to kind of let by the wayside all of the horror as well.
Eric, can I make actually 2 points that kind of relate to what you're saying?
Go ahead.
First, when I say there are good things in the Bible and there are terrible things in the Bible, but there's both. There's good advice and there's talk about genocide and.
Oh, I'm not even talking about what's in the Bible.
Okay,
right? Your point was outside of the Bible, what people have done, right? Maybe I misunderstood.
No. I was talking about what the Bible has made people do based on what it said.
Mm-hmm. You mean what people have done based on reading the Bible? Not to be incredibly pedantic, but the Bible had an effect on people, and people did terrible things more often than not to the Jewish people. But
I mean, how many bake sales and scribes, how many commissioned artists does it take to justify child rape or genocide, slaughter? How many people, doing a good thing for another does it take to counteract a holy war?
I know this one.
How many, Jamie?
There is no number that satisfies this equation.
Right.
Yeah.
More than infinite.
So the first time, when you started this conversation, you brought up that argument, it really feels like it falls flat. And even if there was never a act of violence that was justified through religion, that still doesn't mean that the reasoning, right, people have done good things, in the name of this religion, that is in no way, should that affect the truth value or the import that you put on a book if it's being taken as its claims being literal, right? It seems like you don't.
Let me tell you a brief story that might. I mean, you might understand this. What I was talking to my parents. I'm a little personal information. I'm a former Marine. I've been to Iraq 2 times, and before that, well, thank you. I actually read the Quran and I learned about the Muslim faith and everything, just because I was going to be working with these people there and everything.
It's a helpful
and
step.
I wanted to know. Yeah, and so I was talking to my parents a little before I left, and I talked about how basically slaughter the children, slaughter the women, slaughter everyone, leave no one alive. And they're like, that's what the Quran is. I said, no, Mom, that's in the Bible.
Yeah.
And this is, again, this is like, 15 years ago, but this is, what I was realizing then, that, there's always something that you can, and I guess that's why I'm still on the fence, like I said, whether or not there is a God, or if the God that exists is the one that I've always believed in. But I do not take the Bible literally at all.
That's good.
It was written by men of their time, you know? And like I said last week, you know, I consider myself a skeptic and everything. So, yeah.
So I guess I misunderstood. What's the argument that you were bringing? What is it that you wanted to...
What I wanted to say is that even though the Bible isn't completely literal, as an overall, it's a book full of stories.
Sure.
Some of which may have historical basics, some of which definitely do not. And there are terrible things written in there. There is good things written in there. If you look at the overall story and overall, basically, you know, coming back to Christianity, and even if I am still struggling and still deciding what I actually believe, overall, it's been a good thing for me personally.
Okay. Does that justify wanting it around? I mean, I hate to be that guy, but I can say that as a heterosexual male, it hasn't done as bad for me personally as it has for LGBTQ, you know, plus people and, you know, women who, you know, will live their entire lives being told by the church that they are never going to be more than the property of their husband. I mean,
or people of color.
It depends on which church. There are plenty of LGBT.
There are plenty of churches,
friendly churches.
To be very clear, there are plenty of churches that don't read the Bible. That are. I had this discussion recently, actually, with Matt Dillahunty. There are plenty of churches that are wrong because if they're trying to build a faith based on the Bible, I am all in favor of organizations everywhere putting humanity above Christianity. And I am really glad that some churches have decided to do that just in terms of human rights, but they're wrong about what the Bible says.
Absolutely. But and I've heard on this show and Atheist Experience as well. I mean, most Christians don't actually know what the Bible says.
Yeah.
I
think that's true of most people.
I've read the whole thing front to back. And not as much as Matt has, but, you know, I have.
If I can interject here, that really does make you the few, the proud, and the brave, I think, for reading the Bible cover to cover. But sorry.
Trust me, there was a lot of stuff that I was like, you know, reading all these names, I'm like, you know, can we just move on?
Yeah. Who begat who? Is that really where we're going?
Have a story arc.
No.
But and I guess, you know, and again, Jamie, like last week, I'm not trying to get off the hook, but I know you have a lot of callers. I don't want to take up your whole show and everything. But if I can make one final point, is that I guess one of the biggest things I have, even though I'm having all these thoughts, and I agree with everything you guys have said, and we've had a good conversation, but just pulling the trigger and actually, you know, saying publicly that, you know, I don't believe in God, that would be a big, big life change. And it's kind of like, I actually...
Would it though?
Well, so
in terms of...
Nick, hold on. Would it be a big life change? What do you think would change?
What people thought of me, what...
That's being an out atheist. That doesn't have anything to do with being an atheist.
What I was going to say is, Nick, there's two parts of that. There's one, saying out in the public square I'm an atheist, but two, and I think is the more important one, the one that we would encourage everyone, regardless of their circumstances, to say is there's acknowledging it to yourself when it comes to that.
I guess I was talking about being an out atheist.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's cross that bridge later. There are people who will live most of their lives without being out atheists, and for a lot of times for reasons that we totally understand. But as far as being an atheist is concerned, it sounds like, I mean, if it's hinging on whether or not the Bible or religion itself has done good things, it sounds like you're already an atheist, man.
Yep. I mean, if you're going to say, that's pretty much where I'm leaning. Yeah.
But
on the other hand, I'm going to say I don't know. I mean, there's no.
Nick, I don't either.
I'm not certain.
Well, no, Jamie and I aren't certain either.
Yeah.
Welcome to the club, brother.
Yeah.
Dude, hey.
Woo!
Yeah.
Do I get a trophy or something? Or
you come down to the ACA and we'll barbecue a baby and we'll do the whole.
Okay.
We'll have the whole ceremony.
That's what happens. Okay,
yeah.
now I know. Okay,
we put you in touch with George Soros. He puts you on the payroll. It's great. It's great.
Yeah, it sounds good. Okay, great.
Rob from Long Island is waiting on the line. I hope that his eyes are popping out of his head right now.
Oh, don't. Okay.
Well, I will put you guys on live and listen so you can,
Hey.
It was really great talking to you guys, so I appreciate it.
Before you go, Nick, I feel like you should continue to think about this and particularly listen back to this call, particularly the ending, and just sort of ask yourself if there's something that you know that, I shouldn't hold these beliefs, or, this is the conclusion that I come to, but there's forces, indoctrination, culture, whatever, that are preventing you from being honest with yourself about it, right? I mentioned Shakespeare earlier, to thy own self be true. Ask yourself whether or not you are satisfied stopping before you're honest with yourself. Because
I understand that, and it's not that I don't want to be honest with myself. It's just that, dude, I'm 41 years old, okay? This is a long time.
Yeah.
So, and this is a very big, change in my mind,
Sure.
And a lot of things have happened in the past, few weeks and everything, and I've been through a lot. Mm-hmm. So I'm just, maybe
it's a lot to process.
It's a lot to process, and, I'll work with it, but things are good. So, yeah.
Well, and it sounds like you're doing it the right way. I mean, the thing is you're learning how to become a skeptic, and that's important not just when it comes to religion, but in all parts of your life. And when you kind of take that route, eventually, if you do say you're an atheist, I think that you've gotten there for good reasons. I've gotten messages from people who are just like, oh, no, I discovered skepticism, and it's been a week, and now I'm an atheist. They haven't really had the time to integrate skepticism into their life or to really think about what that means. And then I get a call or a message a week later. Oh, I'm a Christian again. Now I believe in Reiki. And it's like, okay.
What do you think the word believe in means?
Well, and not just that, but, how are you holding your reasoning? If you're jumping to beliefs so quickly, then, maybe what we really need to be talking about is how carefully you look at those different pieces, because that's really freaking important. But Nick,
we'll let you go.
One really quick thing, really quick before I go. This isn't a big subject, but I actually did join the Reddit group and everything.
Oh yeah,
and because I saw that one of the comments on one of the videos that I sounded like Darth Dawkins, EF, and I wrote back, hey, okay, first of all, I'm not EF. A, I'm not a dick. B, I didn't talk over that. So, yeah.
I don't believe for a minute that you're EF.
No. Okay, great.
No,
good.
No.
You're good.
Neither should anyone else.
You're good.
Okay, great. All right, guys. You have a great day. I'm going to listen to the rest of the show.
You too. Take care, brother.
Thanks. Yep. Like and subscribe.